Hey everybody, I'm Katallina, and today we're here to talk about episode 7 of Oshi no Ko season 2. There is a phrase that goes, "Don't meet your heroes," and in today's episode we saw this smack Akane square in the face with absolute brutality, because it turns out that Kana is actually the reason that Akane wanted to become an actress. Or at the very least, that Akane was very inspired and got really into the idea of acting through watching Kana's work. And we see that Akane has not always been this naturally charismatic and outgoing person that we see her as when she is doing her performances, which makes perfect sense, because if we look at the kind of personality and the kind of behaviors we've seen Akane show as an individual when she's not on stage, that is not who she portrays herself as her true self anyway. So it was really satisfying to see that this inspiration of Kana made Akane want to do this. Made Akane want to come out of her shell, and generally made Akane become a more active and engaging person. All up until the moment where Akane actually got to meet Kana in the flesh. And everything that could have gone wrong, went wrong. Like on every level. It started with someone confusing the two, which was bad enough. Being told, thinking that it was Kana, that she had been given a role, and that roles were predetermined, which of course to Akane was devastating, because one, she's not Kana, and two, she is somebody who hadn't had a lot of experience in the entertainment industry and who was under the illusion of the idea that everything was done fair, square, and above the board, which it's not. And then to find out basically not only that, but then have the actual Kana walk in, basically tear a piece off of her, and then knock her hat off and be like, "Quit trying to copy me." I mean, on one hand, I really felt for Akane, especially as a little girl, because that would really suck. Meeting your hero and then having that person not only not live up to your ideals, which should be expected to an extent, but to be the absolute antithesis of everything you thought the person was. That would be devastating. But of course, it would be unfair to only look at this through Akane's point of view. We also have to look at it from the perspective of Kana, who was clearly at the point in her career where everything was starting to unravel. Her value and importance as a child actor was diminishing, and she was being pushed into doing types of projects that she didn't want to do. So of course, seeing someone else basically coming for that number one spot within her mind, taking potentially her space, and her feeling insecure because of everything that was happening to her, was going to make her come across as super bitchy. This is also when she's still a little girl, which means that her own individual personality, her own morality, her own manners and everything were still growing, shifting, and changing. She was much more likely to make a mistake. And we also know that very young Kana was a very antagonistic person, to put it in the best way that I can. She was just a very conflicting person who didn't necessarily tolerate fools lightly. It's really interesting though when we snap back to the present and we realize that while certain aspects of that personality have remained in her core individual persona, that aspect of her attitude has been drilled out of her, like it's been absolutely drained, like it was some kind of cyst or something, leaving nothing behind. Instead of being somebody who actually acts in the spotlight, Kana has ended up becoming somebody who is basically like a chameleon, altering her performance to bring out the best in others. Now, I mean, on one hand, a certain amount of that could hypothetically be good, but Kana has incredible talent, and the idea that she thinks that she should be a backup singer or like a behind-the-scenes person working on stuff instead of actually using her talent to its fullest is a shame. And I mean, Akane seems to get that. I don't know whether really Akane gets that in the sense of what would actually be best for Kana, but I know that Akane wants to compete against Kana, And Akane does not want to defeat someone who is not at their best. It makes me think of part of the movie Bring It On, where the lead character is concerned that a different cheerleading squad that is poorer can't necessarily get to finals, and she actually tries to get her dad to sign a check to get them there because she doesn't just want to win. A win by itself is nothing to her. She wants to compete against what she perceives to be the best. And as somebody who's done a lot of different artistic and creative mediums, I can absolutely understand that mindset, and I appreciate it. I did really feel for the idea that Kana seems like she's still in incredible pain, and she seems like she was deeply hurt and damaged by the stuff that happened to her during her childhood. I am glad also to see, of course, that Akane was not stopped by this situation with Kana. It didn't make her give up her love of acting. It didn't make her quit, because if so, she wouldn't be here and she wouldn't be as talented as she is. I think it'll be fun going forward to see just what will happen with these two characters, because I think both are talented in their own right, and now that we've had a moment where Akane got to actually be in the spotlight and do some cool things, I really hope that we do get to see a redemption arc for Kana. Not in the sense that I think she's a bad person or a bad character, but she's been knocked down really hard, and I want to see her get back up, and I want to see her have her moment in the spotlight as well. I wonder whether Akane and Aqua can actually help her do that, or whether something else will act as a catalyst to make that happen, but I do hope it happens. I also think that this episode is interesting because it acted as a great parallel and a great opposite example to what we saw last week with Melt. Melt is a character who started off without a lot of talent and who is working his way up, whereas Kana is a character with amazing talent who, because of the things that have happened to her, was pushed to hold them back. And I think that that makes for a very interesting type of comparison. Overall, though, I thought this episode was rock solid and very interesting. I liked how they've continued to use the play and to use what's happening with the actors and compare the two and tie them together. But those are my thoughts. I'd love to know what you guys thought of this episode, so drop a comment below and let me know. And I'll talk to you in the next video. See you later. Bye!